Nancy Cox. I'm a partner with the Banadio Group in Amherst, New York, and I am here with Carl Montate Jr. Thank you for joining us, Carl. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Carl Montate. I'm Vice President of Marketing and Strategic Initiatives at Uniland Development Company in Buffalo, New York.
Excellent. And we have had the wonderful opportunity to work with you for many, many years. And I know that even prior to the pandemic, you had the forethought to start sort of repurposing space and using space in an interesting and creative way. So I was hoping you could just sort of discuss with us the different things that you've been doing with your space.
Sure. Well, perhaps the best example I could offer in terms of repurposing space in creative ways is with a project that we called Hansa. We delivered Hansa a couple of years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic, but we have been studying the concept that Hansa encompasses called flexible office space. We had been studying that for probably 4 years before we delivered the project. And I began hearing about the concept of co-working and flexible office in the various trade organizations which I belong to. Organization called NAIOP and the ULI, Urban Land Institute. And I began at these conferences that would take place around the country, hearing about this concept called flexible office, and it kept on being discussed with more frequency as the years went on. And I began really doing my own research on it and learned over the course of a year or two that this trend is really going to be a large component of the office industry in the future. And essentially, how it differs from traditional office space is that it gives companies and employees different things that they both desire. For example, companies, at least certain companies, want more flexible lease terms, which give them the opportunity to increase the size of their space or downsize as the business and the market dictates, without having to break any kind of long-term lease. They also want the ability to have their employees come and go, and be able to sit in various areas that are more conducive to the type of work that they're doing. And that's what we offer at Hansa. We essentially took an old abandoned warehouse in the city of Buffalo and repurposed it into a 2-story office building. And it doesn't look like a traditional corporate office facility. It's much more interesting, creative. For example, we have a lot of lounge furniture and even a fireplace where people who use the space can sit there and enjoy while they're collaborating with their coworkers, having a meeting, or if they're just answering emails. Our space allows them to get up out of their desk and go sit in a more comfortable area where they can perhaps be more creative or get some head down work done in a quiet environment. So the space is very unique, and we spent probably a year and a half designing it, and we're very pleased with the way it turned out, because it gives companies what they want in terms of professional office space. And we also offer them flexible terms that they want, but it also offers people, the users of the space, a better environment in which to be either creative or productive or whatever they want to be. And so what's really fascinating to us is that what we've found over the course of a couple of years is that the space itself, its design, has really attracted different companies and individuals to work there. But we consider that the hardware. The software aspect of Hansa is the community that has developed. The community of various members from a diverse set of companies that represent different industries, individuals with different skill sets and expertise. They're all working under one roof, and they all, we encourage everyone to get to know each other. And so they've kind of become like coworkers, but from different companies. And we found that the vibe that's created by this friendly, social, hardworking group of individuals has really created the glue that keeps members where they are. And it's fascinating to me when I have a client, for example, that I want to offer a tour of Hansa to. I'll walk them around, and inevitably various members will come up to me and say hi, and I'll introduce them to my client who's kicking around the idea of co-working or flexible office, and the member will just act as an ambassador for us and basically sell the space for us. I don't have to do a thing. And it's just a reflection of what we like to call an elevated office experience. And it's when it comes down to it, it's not just about the four walls of an office, but it's what you do within those four walls and what you provide the users of that office space. You give them the experience that they're looking for, something that really wants them to come to work. And that's what we've done at Hansa, and it's been very successful. And every month we've been growing steadily. So it's very fulfilling to see that happen.
I've seen it obviously firsthand. And I know also you incorporated a lot of, because I've obviously toured it with you, local businesses, for example, to paint a mural there, and, to have furnished the office space in, really cool and individual ways. So, and I agree. I think, especially, we talk about this a lot, even in our company, but being together post-pandemic has been increasingly important. So I've seen the different events and things that you do with your members, and I agree with you. I think it's an important aspect to that kind of space. So that's a cool space that I know that, like I said, you had even started pre-pandemic. And this space is too, especially in the US, this is a global organization. So specifically in the US, I know that we have a lot of retail mall space. And so people are using a lot more e-commerce, and there are interesting things that you can do with that kind of space. And I know that, Uniland is doing something. So I wondered if you could talk about that a little.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, retail and office commercial space has always evolved over time. And certainly the pandemic has expedited various trends that have occurred. For example, e-commerce. When things were on lockdown, Amazon's business and Walmart's e-commerce business just spiked significantly. But that trend had been occurring for a number of years. So it's grown faster. What is also occurring in retail and commercial space is people's desire to be outdoors, as opposed to being in enclosed environments, which we found could, make various, health concerns spread more easily. People are looking for outdoor spaces. And that, again, goes to the experience that people are looking for. In order to attract them to spaces, you got to provide them a great experience. So we've recognized that in our partnering with the mall's owner, Eastern Hills Mall's owner, Mountain Development Corporation. And we encourage them to work with us and allow us to convert the Eastern Hills Mall into a mixed-use town center. So we are taking this 100-acre property in a relatively small suburb of Clarence, right next to Amherst. It's in a fabulous location. But we are converting its use from 100% retail to a mixed-use environment where retail will only make up maybe about 20% once it's fully built out. It's not going to be purely retail. It's going to be more akin to a walkable urban village that's master planned. So it'll be like a little village within the town of Clarence, and municipal officials from Clarence are totally on board. They have drunk the Kool-Aid as it relates to this type of use because they've seen it. Various members of the town board or planning board have been to other projects around the country, and they've seen firsthand what these mixed use facilities look like. They give people the ultimate convenience of being able to live in a place where they can walk to the grocery store, walk to the gym, walk to parks, walk to the place where they work, to restaurants, movie theaters. I mean, essentially, it encompasses their lifestyle. And it allows individuals, from younger professionals to retired couples, a place that they can really enjoy the conveniences of a multiple of different uses, all within a 10-minute walk of where they live. And, we announced this project a couple of years ago, and we've been working along with municipal officials to get the offsite infrastructure in place before we can start our on-site development. But over the course of 2 years, the public's reaction to our proposed project here has been utterly tremendous. I mean, people have been desiring this type of lifestyle for a long time. And there's a lot of individuals, particularly in the town of Clarence, that doesn't have a lot of apartments or condos or townhomes where people, older individuals can downsize from their larger homes, or younger individuals can live and be able to move from the city of Buffalo, for example, into another urban environment, but still also have a little more elbow room. What we're offering in this suburb of Buffalo is nothing exists like it in Western New York. So we're very excited to get going with it, and we can't wait to get a shovel in the ground.
Yeah. And it's much like the other space where it's just really developing communities, it feels like, within these little subsets. So I think I know your answer because you had mentioned at one point that, developing commercial and retail space has always evolved and it will probably continue to evolve, right? So do you see this trend continuing, and how will developers adjust, I guess, to the trend of not just traditional commercial retail space going forward?
Yeah, well, I do think developers will have to adjust and adapt to these various trends we're seeing. Um, for example, our company is taking some of the buildings in our office parks and converting some of those buildings to apartments, to residential uses. And we're also introducing other uses like medical offices or even educational space in these office parks, so that we're mixing the uses um, and making them more appealing to a variety of different uh, potential customers. In the past, our office parks would be busy throughout the day, but you'd hear crickets in the evening. Eventually, and we're seeing this already in some of our office parks, the activity levels are consistent morning, afternoon, and evening. In the evening, the residents who live there love walking around this park-like office environment, and they're using the lawns in front of our office buildings to play frisbee on, with their children. So it's great to see that evolution of commercial office space. And like I said before, at the end of the day, it's about the people, it's about the users of commercial real estate in the buildings we develop. So we're just reacting to that, and it's exciting to see where it's taking us.
Agree. I so appreciate your time, and it's an exciting time, I think, to be a developer, right? You get to kind of be creative, and think of all different kinds of things that you can do. So I really appreciate your time, and thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.